Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, September 26, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is the 7 of Pentacles in its reversal. This is going to be feeling like a mixture of some sense of wanting to move forward on things very quickly and also not necessarily wanting to wait on things today. There could be a feeling, we've been seeing a lot of this in the collective right now, a feeling of urgency, potentially feeling like you are moving at a much faster rate or not necessarily having that degree of patience that you would typically anticipate. This is because there is a time to effectively wait for something to come to fruition, and there is a time to reap the benefits. For masculine and feminine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. This could be a moment that you are effectively looking right now for the results of your work, or you are looking right now to recall your energy around some spaces or places. This could even be feeling right now a moment that you may have spread yourself out too thin. And this is a point of orientation in terms of how to kind of get back some of your own time, get back some of your own energy. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership, this is effectively exactly where we left them yesterday. You will remember and recall that, as I mentioned, we saw the fact that for some of the partnered energies right now, there was a deeper question about the feeling that some of the obligations or the external obligations and partnerships outside of the relationship were effectively having a detrimental impact in the relationship. This could be looking right now and recalibrating one's own goals and obligations right now in order to be able to put back into the partnership energy. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is exactly what we see that is requiring or allowing a bit of this like shift that's happening so much in the partnered energies, in the energies that are in separation at this time. Feminine is not in a space or place where they are effectively waiting or willing to wait for masculine energy to make choices, to decide. This is a lot of the fact that the feminine energy, we recognized and identified. The feminine saw the fact that masculine was vacillating back and forth in terms of what they wanted to put forth to the feminine, potentially even coming from a space of offering emotional entities instead of what the feminine was actually seeking, which was clarity, transparency, and integrity at this time. This is a feminine energy right now that is not being moved or compelled from emotional offerings as much as they typically have in the past. For feminine energy right now, this is a moment of effectively calling again more of the masculine to task, wanting to move forward, potentially even faster than the masculine energy at this time to try to advance things because feminine was effectively waiting all of this time for masculine. Now, for the feminine energy that is seeing right now masculine coming into union with them, because we did identify that there are a lot of energies that we identified yesterday were potentially coming into union. This could be feminine wanting to moving through a conversation right now of wanting to move the timeline forward faster, not necessarily wanting to wait anymore, really wanting to take a bit of urgency to things. For feminine and that is not in partnership, the feminine energy that we identified was seeing a lot of masculine choosing their own autonomy as opposed to coming into union. This is the feminine energy effectively giving that point of catharsis further clearance by saying there is a confirmation for here, the feminine right now, of not having the degree or the desire of wanting to wait for masculine energy to mature to effectively come back to them in this way, shape, or form. This is why we see that the feminine energy is progressing on their cycle more quickly now. For masculine energy, you are effectively identifying here that same level of degree. In partnership, again, more conversations about how to become more efficient, how to prioritize time, obligations, etc. This is beneficial to the partnership as a whole. For masculine energy that is not in separation at this time, this is more of that point of feeling like you are being kind of forced into growth right now. This is more of that continuation of that feeling that we've been seeing over the last few days for masculine. You may be even identifying and recognizing, right, that the feminine energy is in this vibration and modality. There's something here that you can't necessarily wait on anymore. It's like having to kind of seize the moment, take the opportunities, or recognizing that that is a point that is going to be moved away from. Now, for the masculine energy right now that is utilizing this to come into partnership or union, you may also be feeling this level of degree of urgency right now. This is either coming from within the self, because we did identify that for the energy right now that is trying to work to come back into partnership with feminine, there is a point of understanding that while there is a partnered union occurring, it is in need of a lot of healing, a lot of healing. We saw that heavily yesterday. We even recognized that for some of the feminine energy, feminine is articulating to the masculine that while they are willing to try to move forward on things, feminine energy is not effectively in a space where they trust what masculine is putting forth to them, specifically because feminine energy recognized that they saw the masculine energy vacillate in terms of what they were offering. For masculine right now, there could be feeling like an urgency not to lose ground right now, which may be also pushing you forward if you're trying to go into union to try to repair what you are finding there in the wake of having to return back from separation. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is the masculine energy suddenly feeling that point of urgency. Because what we really identified for the masculine energy that's choosing to stay in separation at this time is this is a moment where you are potentially realizing that you are effectively potentially feeling this anxiety in terms of what it is that you're waiting for. This is more of that work, this internal self-work that we saw that the masculine energy that is choosing autonomy at this time is having, that's almost potentially leading to a bit of a feeling of a personal crisis. Because this is a moment that we saw that the masculine energy had to question about what they are moving towards. Not just the fact that they are moving away from something, but really trying to focus on what their heart's desire is at this time. This could be for masculine energy almost feeling like you are making up your mind or limiting your own levels of options at this moment, because you're really recognizing that you are effectively in a space or place where you are spreading yourself out too thin, where you're potentially keep on growing things and not letting them come to fruition. This is a lot of that internal work that the masculine is having even in separation at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we love to see these cards in combination, especially as it relates to some of the masculine energy that is still in separation at this time. Because what we are effectively seeing at this moment is, even here we are seeing that there is a growth process that is occurring for the masculine energy that is choosing to remain in autonomy at this time. Because even as you may be potentially walking away from things right now, you are starting forward at this point with a deeper level of experience and understanding. This isn't necessarily you effectively repeating the same cycles as the past, but now taking a lot of this deeper lesson that you've kind of learned around relationships forward with you as you proceed forward. We like to see this because this is showing that there is growth occurring even for the energy that is moving or choosing to remain in autonomy at this time. Now, for masculine energy that is utilizing this moment to come into divine union with feminine, we are identifying that you are effectively at this moment where you are consolidating your own choices. I saw and recognize that you are recognizing that you need to make a lot of work right now. You need to put a lot of effort in these partnerships to be able to heal them. That they are coming back into union, but they are very, very damaged. And this is potentially you rushing forward right now, not wanting to lose the ground that feminine has effectively offered in kind of letting you back in. But you are doing it with a lot of trepidation and caution, not wanting to repeat the mistakes of the past. Now, for feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is either happening on one of two different modalities. This is either coming through right now as, again, masculine energy that is returning back to you. You are having that observation. You are seeing this. This is the same fool that we saw moving that way is now coming this way back towards the feminine. And you are also recognizing that this masculine energy has shown the possibility of understanding. They've shown the fact that there is something here that is showing a level of degree of heightened experience as it relates to circumstances or situations. You are also feeling the anxiety to a certain degree, because we are also, this is exactly the same modality that we saw that the feminine is observing the masculine in right now, which is anxiety that the masculine energy may change their mind or may vacillate right now, because this is the same energy that saw that the masculine energy was trying to decide which way to go prior to coming into union. For feminine, this is also potentially increasing your own level of urgency at this time. So masculine and feminine energy coming into union at this time may be experiencing and feeling a lot of these mirrored emotions. For the other part of the feminine collective, this was masculine energy observing them effectively moving away from you at this time. You are also moving away from that masculine energy with a point and a degree of really truly understanding that this is not something that you feel like you want to wait on, nor do you feel like you have the time to. Instead, you are utilizing it as a learning experience as you proceed forward on your path. Now, for masculine and feminine energy of partnership at this moment, what this is really going to articulate upon is the fact that there is a lot of adjustment that's potentially happening right now in terms of goals, in terms of priorities, in terms of where you are putting your time and effort and energy, potentially even consolidating it this time so that you can move forward again, taking some of these leaps of faith. This could even be right now for some of the partnered energies, the fact that you are going forward right now into new endeavors together. And there could be a point of observation in the fact that you need to take back some of your own time and effort and energy so that you can start on new opportunities and new experiences. But it is taking a consideration on where your energy is divided. Continuing to get clarification, third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here the Page of Wands in its reversal. Now, this is very intriguing. For masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, I have to say, and I've been bringing this up a bit over the last few days, there may even be a lot of conversations around potentially things related to children at this time. There could even be conversations, again, if there is something here about building families, this could also be speaking right now to some of the movement right now in terms of pushing things ahead about what that effectively looks like. This could even be some of that conservation of energy into some of these new opportunities and experiences at this moment. For the other part of the masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time, this is effectively potentially even looking right now around situations and circumstances that need some more of your own energy put into them at this time. For masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is requiring some point of recognition as it relates to some difficult conversations that need to be reached. For masculine energy right now, we did see, and as we observed, this is a moment that is creating a lot of difficulty, even if you're trying to come back into union with feminine, because there's a recognition that even in some of these partnerships, there is a lot of work that needs to be maintained. This is feminine energy that has a very damaged opinion right now of either partnerships that they've been in the past, or potentially partnerships that they have been with you, if this is a return energy. Masculine right now, this is effectively being very cautious in terms of how you are speaking or what you are saying towards the feminine at this time. A lot of potential anxiety that is coming into play, potentially even feeling or having that fear of saying the wrong thing, which is why we see that you're moving forward with so much trepidation if you're trying to come into union at this moment. Feminine, you could potentially be seeing this on the part of the masculine. You potentially could be recognizing that this is a masculine energy if they're coming towards you at this time that is doing so very, very carefully. But in a way, this is positive because it's effectively reaffirming to the feminine that the masculine energy has learned some of these lessons. They're putting in this work. So this, in a way, is, even if it makes it hard to have these conversations, it is affirming to the feminine that is recognizing this in the masculine. Now, for the other part of the collective right now, if this is masculine energy that is choosing their own degree of autonomy over partnership at this moment, this is potentially feeling this anxiety as it relates to how to proceed forward from this point. There could even be a moment right now that you are looking at past circumstances and situations that you may be trying to move back to at this time, but it is creating a problem moment because you don't know what to say. There may be something here that the masculine is really trying to frame their words carefully, even as they move off into new experiences, because as we said, something about this right now is recalibrating something, even for the masculine energy that's choosing their own autonomy. This is a lot of that work that masculine's doing right now, maybe not necessarily just like moving back into new opportunities right now, but really trying to take some time to consider which direction to go in if they're moving forward at this time. This is a lot more of that self-work that we've been seeing that the masculine energy's been doing, even if they are choosing autonomy at this moment. Now, for feminine energy that is in separation, that is seeing the masculine energy continuing forward on their own journey, this is a moment that you are reaffirming your own commitment not to communicate with that energy. Feminine energy is effectively committing and affirming to themselves, if they're seeing masculine energy move away from them, that this is not something that they are going to chase after, specifically by potentially blocking or not communicating with that energy anymore. This is giving a lot of the feminine energy running out of patience on things, especially if they're seeing repeating cycles. This is kind of like doors closing, one it and done it, not allowing any room for error. Masculine, you may be feeling the fact that a lot of the feminine around you right now, it may feel like to you some point of frustration because you're feeling like the feminine energy is leaving what you might articulate as no room for error. Continuing to the fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is Four of Pentacles in its upright. What did I say about conserving energy? For masculine and feminine energy in partnership right now, this is about getting some of your own time back. There's a lot of work that potentially is being paid attention to in partnership at this moment in terms of consolidating your resources, consolidating your time. There may even be some discussions right now as it relates to partnership, again, feeling that one or the other person in the union is spreading themselves out too thin, and it is having an impact on the divine union as a whole. There may even be, as I mentioned, some new opportunities or experiences that are being considered in union right now, may even have to do with children, that is requiring some of this consolidation of energy. This is where we see that the partnered energies right now are doing this collectively. They're doing this together, but also that you can kind of take that energy, take those resources, and move forward together into new places and spaces. But it's requiring a calling back before you can go forward, because you only have so much energy to expend. For the masculine and feminine energy that is not in union at this time, this is going to feel very different. As we did recognize, there is a lot of energy right now that we are recognizing is coming into union. Half of this separated energy is coming into union at this time. And what we are really seeing right now is for the masculine and feminine energy that's working through that, there is a moment right now that feels like you are doing everything you can to secure that partnered energy. Masculine is potentially feeling the anxiety. And it's funny because those energies are effectively mirroring each other right now. Masculine is recognizing that this is a feminine energy that's opening or offering them a little tiny window. It's like they're leaving, they let them a little tiny window in terms of coming towards the feminine, because this was a very hesitant feminine that required very specific things to come towards them at this time. Masculine is doing everything they can to secure and shore up that partnership right now, but you're doing it very, 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 very carefully. You're trying to be very cautious in terms of your words, in terms of what you're saying, because you are very worried that this feminine energy is going to close back up on you. Feminine, you are effectively worried because the reason you are in that point of close up is because you are worried that the masculine energy is vacillating in terms of what they want at this time. You are also moving very carefully right now, and you are watching the masculine energy very carefully because you are feeling the anxiety that this masculine energy may change their mind on what they want. Feminine energy is observing whether they feel like the masculine energy is going to flip-flop in some way, shape, or form in terms of what they desire and what they're bringing forth versus what the feminine energy is accepting at this time. For the masculine energy that is still in separation, that is utilizing this time as moving away from, as we saw, something that felt like an ideal partnership opportunity potentially. This is a moment that is very hard for the masculine. This may be even a moment that you are staying very closed off. This is not necessarily a moment where you're looking right now for new opportunities. You may even be looking at past opportunities, because what's effectively happening right now is you're having a point of reconsideration and recalibration. You're holding on to the things that matter to you, and that's taking a moment right now of having to observe where you've put your time, effort, and energy to ask yourself what it is that you are truly seeking at this time. This is becoming a very deep journey right now for the masculine energy that is still in separation. It's a mixture right now of feeling like you are effectively running out of time, that point of anxiety, trying to understand and identify what you're seeking, but having a little uncertainty in terms of what that direction is at this moment. For the feminine energy that's still in separation at this time, this is, if you saw the masculine energy moving away from you at this time, this is feminine energy effectively closing the door. Especially if this is old energy, that this has been showing a repeating cycle, this is feminine energy effectively confirming to themselves. Whatever just happened in this last cycle was kind of like final confirmation to the feminine energy that this is an energy that is not necessarily reliable or dependable. We did notice that this was feminine energy that was seeking integrity beyond all things. And this is that closure point that we're effectively seeing. A feminine, not necessarily chasing after the masculine that's moving away from them in this capacity, but really just holding on to what is of value to them and affirming and committing not to effectively communicate with this energy going forward. A lot of progress that is happening at this time. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 9 of Swords in its reversal. And we love to see this right now because this is more of that point of catharsis. that is coming through. We got a huge wave of that healing, cathartic energy yesterday. And what is catharsis? Catharsis is not something that feels like absolutely like the best thing. It's beautiful and it's painful, right? It's that point of closure that we give ourselves that is bittersweet. A lot of this bittersweetness may still be effectively coming through at this time for all energies at play. Regardless of what gender, bearing in mind that is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For the energy right now that is in partnership, there's a lot of this beautiful cathartic energy that's coming in right now, because again, you are working right now in a point of slowness, steadiness, not necessarily, I need to stress, for the partnered union energy right now, not a lot of actual observed activity. It could very much be looking from the outside in, very much like the opposite to any energy that is observing energy that is in union right now, because what you may be identifying or seeing is those energies effectively calling back from things, pulling their energy back towards themselves at this moment, potentially even canceling plans, potentially even changing things, because there's an accommodation that's being reached right now, and recognizing that you may feel like you're spreading yourself too thin and it's affecting the partnership. Being able to recognize this mutual ability and degree to do this work is actually immediately creating a sense of healing to those partnerships at play. It's allowing things to progress forward in a more positive direction. And so the immediate result in the partner, thank you so much, Crystal, is the fact that we are seeing that it's immediately having that effect. This is a continuation of that point of catharsis going forward. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, what we are effectively seeing and identifying at this time is there's still a lot of catharsis that is coming into play. For masculine and feminine energy that we are identifying is coming into union at this time, again, or building towards that divine union energy, we see that this is a moment that there is this feeling that there is something here that can be salvaged. There is something here that can be saved. It's giving me a lot of like, it is little and broken, but it is still good kind of energy that is coming through on this right now. And this is effectively trying to take what is still there and salvage it and start to build anew. It's working in a very slow, very cautious, very conscientious way. But that sense of conscientiousness is what is securing and building to the feminine confidence that this is a masculine energy that is learning from their experiences, because feminine energy is effectively recognizing that this is showing the fact that the masculine energy has reached a point of maturation, or at the very least that they are trying to. And this is the point for the feminine that is almost giving that double confirmation to be able to continue to move forward in this capacity. Now, for the masculine and energy that's doing this as well, this is a point of catharsis because you're recognizing that the feminine is allowing this, and you are working, as we said, to try to shore up those problems, to fix those difficulties, to overcome those hurdles. This may feel like a lot more of a rush work for the masculine doing this right now, because while feminine is moving very slowly, masculine is almost trying to move very quickly to convince the feminine that this is something that they can achieve, but cautiously. Now, for the feminine and masculine energy that are still in separation at this time, we see that this is going to be a lot more of that feeling of personal catharsis. For feminine energy, this is something that is very difficult. It's something that is not easy. This is a feminine energy that effectively laid some point of hope to keep for masculine energy being able to come to this point of maturation. You may be seeing masculine energy still moving away from you at this time, when you had or gave them some opportunity to come back towards you. This is that moment that, again, feminine is not chasing after the masculine here, because feminine energy is not in a space or place where they're moving into areas where there isn't positive communication, or the masculine energy isn't moving towards them with a sense of purpose and integrity. Feminine energy is holding on and securing their own emotions, or basically calling back their energy right now. Need to warn, there may even be a lot of feminine right now that is blocking or severing communication with masculine that they feel is in this untrust, in this lack of integrity vibration, because that's what it looks like to the feminine right now, that this is an unreliable masculine energy. Feminine energy is building security for themselves right now with that choice as they continue to move forward with healing. The other part of the masculine energy that's going through this right now that effectively chose separation, that moved away from what could have been an ideal union opportunity, specifically because you recognized that you did not want to forgo your own sense of autonomy at this moment. This is a moment of self-contemplation, of recognizing that you effectively just let something go. You may have even created an unhealed karmic connection in the process because you chose your own autonomy, and it's making you have to go through a process of really asking yourself what it is that you are truly seeking at this time. The masculine that is going through this right now, you may not necessarily even be out seeking it at this point. You're more just trying to understand it. And this is requiring you to effectively potentially even look back on past circumstances or experiences, looking backwards to see if you left something behind that you needed before you move forward into what you're not sure you're looking for. This is also creating for the masculine energy, again, a point of catharsis, but it may be feeling a bit more exhausting if you are not in partnership and if you chose that level or degree of autonomy at this time. This is something about you having to heal right now, but it's requiring a lot of that internal work. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Seven of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Fool energy in its reversal. This is that moment that we are seeing that for all energies at play, there is a point of pulling back, calling back your energy, feeling like potentially you've spread yourself out too thin. Masculine and feminine partnership are doing this collectively together. Feminine energy right now is effectively pulling back their energy, or again, making their choices in terms of how to move forward at this time. Partnered energies right now, potentially energies coming into partnership, utilizing this as a way to move forward. Others, this is doors that are closing effectively. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Wands in its upright. This is, again, looking backwards so that we can look forwards. We like to see this energy here because it's showing a lot of care and consideration. Again, for masculine and feminine energy right now, pulling back your own energy, recognizing that you may have overextended yourself, not spread yourself out too thin. Mutual work to do this right now so that you can take some of that energy and start to plan ahead in terms of what you want to do instead of what you're currently doing. It's taking a point of recalibration, though, because you may need to take some of that energy back right now. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is in separation at this time, this is going to feel very different, because what we are really seeing is, again, masculine energy and feminine that is moving now into union. This is effectively continuing to clarify to one another. Maybe even having to have, because we did observe that for some of this energy right now, to be able to come into union was a point of clarity and observation of all obligations that one was currently in. This was the opening that the masculine was effectively required to bring forth to the feminine at this time. This could even be masculine energy right now that is coming towards this right now, having to close out other cycles around them in order to move into partnership with feminine. That is what is allowing right now that point to be able to move forward at this time. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy, for feminine right now, this is potentially you even observing the masculine doing this. This is potentially having you to tell the masculine energy that you may feel like they have spread themselves out too thin. You are potentially also doing this right now. So again, a lot of cycles that are effectively coming to closure point, but again, to be able to, for the energies that are coming into partnership or union right now, it's so that you can collectively call back your energy to plan that path ahead together. Now, for the masculine energy, for the feminine energy that recognized and they saw the fact that masculine energy just moved away from them, recognizing right now that there was a masculine energy that effectively chose their own autonomy as opposed to coming into union with you right now. This is effectively you calling back your own energy from those circumstances or situations. We are observing right now a feminine collective that is not necessarily waiting for masculine energy to reach a maturation process. They're just effectively moving on. If the energy is not ready to come into union, feminine is taking that as a moment of just saying onwards they go. This is what's immediately, it's almost allowing the feminine energy to recover faster from moments like this, because this is effectively the feminine energy recognizing that they themselves are very focused in terms of what they are seeking, and they are looking for energy that is seeking it in kind. Now, for the masculine energy right now that effectively potentially moved away from a partnership opportunity that may have looked in all intents and purposes like it would have been perfect. This is the masculine energy having that point of self-exploration at this time. It's requiring a level of degree of internal seeking. The problem is we are seeing here that this is a masculine energy that has effectively decided to move on forward into new partnership opportunities, but the masculine has effectively observed something within the self right now that is creating pause. This is creating a point of contemplation. And what masculine is effectively doing at this time is we notice that for the masculine energy that's in this vibration, they are trying to understand their heart's desire. That is requiring the masculine energy, and the reason this masculine energy isn't moving forward today, but using this almost as a point of personal contemplation and recovery. Masculine energy is looking back at the past or into the future to try to ascertain where they can find it. This is the moment for the masculine energy in this vibration, and this is why I say that this is so healing, because this is creating a point where the masculine energy is journeying within the self prior to looking forward, to ask themselves what it is that they're truly seeking. Because to some point and to some degree, this is masculine energy that may have identified and recognized that they just moved away from what could have been the perfect opportunity. And it's requiring now a deeper understanding of the self prior to moving forward into new partnership possibilities. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between the Fool in its reversal and the Page of Wands. So, a moment or opportunity right now for masculine and feminine energy. Again, having to have some point of observation. For feminine and masculine energy in partnership at this time, this is effectively putting forward right now some movement into spaces and places with a lot of intentionality and care. As I mentioned, for some of the energy right now that's going through this could even be some conversations potentially around children, whether or not they're coming into play today, because we're seeing right now that there's a lot of this like path forward in terms of coming through right now, and even like a lot of conversations about conservation of resources. So this is feeling like a lot of this energy potentially coming forth today or being discussed. For the other part of the energy right now, this is potentially even having a point right now of, again, having to pull potentially out of obligations or situations because there is this feeling of being spread thin. This could even have to deal with some difficult conversations that need to be had today. For masculine and feminine energy in partnership and not in partnership at this moment, this is, again, feminine energy that saw masculine moving away from them in this degree. This is feminine energy potentially even firmly closing the door on these things. This is feminine energy potentially conceding and recognizing that they don't want to necessarily be in spaces or places where they're having these back and forth issues with masculine. Feminine energy wants that integrity from masculine, and they're utilizing that as their point of moving away from any masculine that isn't showing that level or degree of integrity at this time. Masculine, this is that moment that you are potentially, again, either moving towards feminine right now, but it may require you to stop communication with some energy or to make some adjustments right now. We did see that this was a masculine energy, that if you were going into partnership, you had to be very open to feminine in terms of what is effectively around you at this time. While for masculine, the other part of the masculine energy at this moment, this is the masculine energy that chose autonomy over partnership at this time, but it's left you in a bit of a limbo state. We see here that you are kind of at a point where you know you want to move forward, but you're not necessarily sure how to. This is almost like a masculine energy that has kind of lost the map to a certain degree and is now trying to go inwards to find out where that map exists. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with King of Cups in its reversal. There could be a lot of emotional overwhelm right now for the masculine energy. This could be interpreting one of two different ways. Masculine, if you're feeling this, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. This is a masculine energy almost coming into a state or place of tremendous emotional overwhelm right now. Be very cautious with your words if you're in this vibration today, masculine energy, because it could be very emotionally overwhelming. Or depending on how you manage your emotions, masculine, this could be the opposite feeling. You're like detaching from your emotions. It's hard for you to communicate because you're feeling such an overwhelm here. It's showing some level or degree of emotional imbalance that's effectively coming into play right now. Now, for masculine energy that is effectively going through this right now in partnership, this may look a little familiar. Why does this look like this? Because we saw feminine in this vibration yesterday. These are these two energies that are affecting each other and harmonizing. So masculine energy, we basically saw left some space or place yesterday for the feminine to be in a space where they could be vulnerable, which led to the feminine being a little bit emotionally overwhelmed. It's not surprising that we now see the fact that the masculine energy has taken on some of that simultaneous vibration from the feminine energy in this space or place. So this could be a masculine energy right now that is working through a lot of emotionality. around this. I will even point out right now, again, for some of this energy, I'm seeing here for some of this partnered energy right now, there could be a lot of conversations related and around children today that may also be a bit emotionally overwhelming. But we do see here that, again, for the masculine and feminine energy right now, there's something that is coming through right now, very important in partnership, about conserving one's resources, observing and feeling like you may be spread out too thin. And it could be feeling right now that some of this work going forward does feel a little bit emotionally exhausting for the masculine today. Feminine, this may even be recognizing this right now around the masculine, around some situations and circumstances. You may even be creating a little bit of space and partnership right now for the masculine energy to have this room, to feel their feelings, to help you navigate as you are going forward. Because whatever this is right now that you're potentially discussing, it may be somewhat emotionally triggering. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy not in partnership at this time, this is also going to feel very different, because what we are really observing right now is, again, feminine is going through a moment right now where you are effectively allowing potentially new start energy. For some of the feminine right now, this is the beginning of new partnership possibilities, new potential unions that are coming in right now. But you are potentially recognizing right now that this is a masculine energy that may be feeling an influx of emotionality, but not really saying much about it. There could even be a little bit of confusion right now for the feminine in terms of what masculine is saying and how they're saying it. Because we're seeing here that this is a masculine energy that is feeling very emotionally blocked, but is trying to talk, but is also like worried about what they're going to say. So this could be feeling like a little bit of a weirdness that you may be seeing right now for the masculine feminine, that you're recognizing that the masculine is trying to find ways to articulate what they are saying. Masculine, you may also be feeling this right now if you're trying to come into partnership or union. You may be feeling a little bit emotionally overwhelmed, having a hard time communicating it, but you're trying very hesitantly to have that communication, because this is, again, a masculine energy that's learning the art of emotional balance at this time. It's not a perfect art. So for masculine and feminine, for the masculine and feminine energy that are still in separation, this is more of that confirmation in terms of new cycles starting. This is feminine energy that's effectively reaffirming right now that they have no room or no space for masculine energy that is not able to maintain consistent communication, because feminine is effectively looking this right now as a masculine energy that is not emotionally balanced, that can't communicate their emotions, that are in a point of imbalance. And this is confirmation of the feminine energy. Again, feminine energy was looking for masculine energy that's already done this work. Feminine energy does not want homework assignments in terms of how to help the masculine energy come into being able to be open in this capacity or degree. That's why feminine energy was calling the masculine energy to task so quickly to come into a space or place of integrity at this moment. Feminine energy is creating an immediate point of catharsis and moving forward right now if they are identifying this right now. Masculine, this, if you have chosen right now, if you moved away from a partnership opportunity, this may be feeling a lot of that personal crisis that's effectively coming into play right now, because you're doing a lot of this work that we're recognizing right now internally, from within. There may even be feelings right now of confusion, of not being sure what it is that you're truly looking for at this moment. It's making you look forwards and backwards. Forwards into things you cannot see, backwards into places you've already gone, trying to really articulate what this is. And it's feeling rather emotionally overwhelming right now. There's a lot of moment right now, I'd even stress to masculine to be very careful with your emotionality. Take care of yourself today if you're feeling like this, especially if you have bad coping mechanisms that you turn to today. I want you to be very cautious around this right now as well, because these are very unhelpful cards in that environment. For the masculine right now, this is creating a space that, like, this lack of uncertainty, this emotionality. So working right now from a point of emotional balance is going to be a real goal of the masculine energy right now that is in this point of trying to find balance. There could even be a moment right now that is hard for the masculine, because this point of emotional overwhelm is one that you're having a hard time even articulating right now to some of the energy around you. Because we even identified right now that for some of the masculine energy in this vibration, there was a point of potentially going towards other energy, other karmic energy right now, trying to get some modality of support and not necessarily receiving it, because then the energy around you might also not understand what you're doing at this time. So again, a lot of work right now of the masculine energy in this vibration, going through a lot of internal journeying at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Wands in its reversal and our Four of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time, this is just holding firm to the partnership itself. Maybe some issues right now, either around children or again, conversations as it relates to children. This is a lot of conserving of energy that could even be, again, pulling back out of things, feeling like you don't have the ability or the degree or the time or the bandwidth for certain things at this time. A lot of conservation of energy right now on the table. Masculine, it may be feeling a bit emotionally exhausted too, which is also why we see that this may be coming to the forefront. Feminine may be doing this work for masculine right now because they're at this point where they're just feeling a little bit emotionally burned out or raw. Masculine and feminine energy not in partnership at this moment. Again, this is either trying to preserve what's left of a partnership. Moving forward, if energies are coming into union, very, very carefully, not wanting to disturb what's there. Holding on and holding very tightly to the value of this, maybe feeling a little emotionally overwhelming for the masculine, even as they're trying to communicate around this at this time. Feminine, you're potentially seeing this right now. Again, there's still a point of resistance that this feminine energy is feeling, even if you're coming into union at this moment, because we saw that feminine is very, very cautious of this energy, that there's something here where feminine energy has been hurt in partnership at the prior. Masculine is approaching feminine from that point of understanding and recognition, either into new journeys right now, new opportunities, or past energy that they're recognizing that they need to tread very carefully with right now. For masculine and feminine energy that are still in separation, this is feminine energy calling back their energy, committing not to communicate to the masculine. If the masculine energy moved away from the feminine and chose not to move into partnership, feminine energy is utilizing this as complete and total confirmation that they don't want this energy as a part of them because they're not in a point of integrity. Masculine, you potentially recognize this. You potentially recognize that this was effectively going to happen when you moved away from this feminine energy. You may have understood and recognized something about this was not going to be a situation or circumstance that you could return back to. There was kind of this moment that we see here that you were seeing that a door was being closed, effectively moving in this vibration. And this is a moment for masculine right now that is creating a bit of an internal crisis, because we see here that you're trying to find and understand what it is that you're seeking and holding on to, but you're not necessarily sure where you're going to go at this time. We see here that this is a masculine energy that's almost kind of staying very fixed in place at this moment, trying to figure out what direction to move into right now. And it's requiring a lot of this internal journeying. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. New foundations being built. Sometimes we need to take down the old to build up the new. That's effectively what's happening right now. That's what we see that even the partnered energies are doing. This is why the partnered energies right now are potentially calling back a lot of their energy right now, because the partnered energies are trying to build something new. How do you build something new? You got to make some room for it. So the feminine and masculine energy in partnership right now are like effectively looking at the obligations in the partnership, saying, where can we pull back our energy so that we have the time, space, and opportunity to build forward in these new avenues and areas? It is taking some recalibration. It is taking some pulling back. But again, this is productive because it's allowing for new ground to be built upon. For masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership, again, if you're coming into union at this time, this is again that new start that you may be feeling. If this is energy coming back out of separation that was potentially previously in partnership, this is seeing what can be preserved, but also like recognizing that you're laying a new foundation and new groundwork. Now, for masculine energy and feminine energy that are still in separation, this is feminine energy potentially having seen a masculine energy move away from them again, or move away from them in a way, and feminine energy is effectively just not communicating with that energy at this time. This is the feminine energy taking what they have and building forth for themselves at this moment, looking for masculine energy with integrity, and feminine's not chasing the masculine. They're taking their time and they're pulling back their energy and just building for themselves at this moment. Masculine, you are effectively recognizing this in the feminine. You're effectively recognizing that this is not a feminine energy that is chasing after you. That again, if you moved away from feminine in this capacity or degree, there's probably no going back at this point. This is that moment that, again, you're potentially now looking right now around at past opportunities, experiences, future opportunities, experiences, trying to figure out what your heart's desire is, trying to figure out what direction you want to move into. And today, this could be feeling like you are starting from square one. The problem for the masculine energy that is starting from square one at this point is you're not really sure what you're creating. You're not really sure which direction you're going into. This is a lot more of that internal crisis energy that the masculine may be going through today. And if you're going through this right now, masculine, I really want you to be very careful and take care of yourself today, because we see that it is a point of feeling a lot of emotional overwhelm in the process. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Pentacles in combination with our Nine of Swords in its reversal. This is that catharsis moment that we're seeing. We like to see this right now because what we're really identifying is, again, for all energies right now, there is something here that is allowing a bit of a cloud break coming through. For masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, this is just like making things easier. This is like having to I feel like here this is the moment of feeling like you have to rip off a Band-Aid on some things that you just have to kind of admit that you don't want to do right now or you can't do anymore, pulling that energy back. But also you're doing it in a positive way because you're utilizing it to immediately do new things instead. This is not like just pulling back to do whatever. You're doing it because you have this new direction you're going into. So this is feeling, again, like you're calling back your energy, but it feels almost like a point of relief. You're giving yourself that, oh, this feels better now. This feels easier. I've given myself some point of relief right now. So this is almost like potentially feeling like a weight's being lifted for the energy that's in partnership or union at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in, and again, for the energies that are coming into partnership at this time, the masculine that was coming towards the feminine, this is a moment that, again, there is that catharsis. There's a lot of new ground that needs to be built, but you are recognizing and you're holding on to what is there, and that is creating that point of catharsis at this moment. Masculine and feminine energy that's in separation at this time, this for the feminine is a point of catharsis. Feminine energy is pulling back their energy again. This is the work that the feminine energy learned to do during the Venus in retrograde cycle, not chase. Recognize the desire to be able. Feminine has recognized their own ability and potentiality of giving to things that do not give back to them in equal measure. Feminine energy is holding firm to the lessons taught during the Venus in retrograde cycle that we now see coming in direct. Everybody thought feminine was going to go running around into partnership after Venus went direct. It was the opposite. Feminine energy came into a space or place where they started recalling or calling back their energy because they want that equal partnership. Feminine energy is calling back their energy at this time, and they're feeling catharsis almost immediately as they do so. This isn't something right now. The feminine is not agonizing over this decision. It's almost reaffirming to feminine that the way they've been moving forward is the proper one. Masculine, you are potentially, if you are in separation right now, you are seeing the fact that the feminine energy is doing this. You are recognizing, you are seeing that the feminine energy is doing this, and it is also very difficult because you effectively have made the choice to continue forward in that point of autonomy at this moment. The problem is you're not necessarily sure where to go. You're not necessarily sure what direction you're in. You're just holding on to what you have right now, but you're not necessarily, you're hitting this moment or this wall in terms of what you do productively going forward from here. You are also looking for a point of catharsis right now and potentially really just hunkering down right now as you try to figure out what direction you want to proceed upon next. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Nine of Cups in its reversal. So again, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is just a moment right now that may be feeling like this is identifying some of those points of frustration, because for masculine and feminine energy right now in partnership, there may be this point of observation of feeling like you don't have enough time, you don't have enough energy. You're trying to do everything you can right now to be able to come forward in the most open way possible. And even in the partnerships at this time, there may be some feelings of frustration that are effectively occurring because you may be feeling right now that one of the reasons that you're calling back your energy is because you don't necessarily have the time to do the things that you desire to do in the way that you hope to do them. This is trying to overcome some of that hurdle right now, but it is kind of almost requiring the masculine and feminine energy to I'm almost getting here pull out of the public eye, if you were pulling away from things right now, specifically so that you can start working on some things in that need some of this work, right? This is pulling back some of the tension from one area to put it into another. And it is kind of requiring you to pull away from one thing that you're not necessarily going to be seen as much, right? This is a lot of that work coming through right now for masculine and feminine, but we're almost seeing it's fine. It's like a feminine and masculine energy that's like not really feeling that level of degree of needing to be like, you know, in all of these places, in all of these spaces right now. It's almost just like creating a point of easement. Masculine and feminine energy that is also moving into partnership. This is potentially pulling out of obligations outside the partnership right now. As I observed, there had to be something about masculine and feminine being open to one another about where their obligations lie at this time. This is masculine and feminine effectively pulling out of certain things so that they can focus on the partnership. Pulling that energy back. Point of catharsis. Recognizing you're both doing that is creating a level of degree of security in the partnership at this moment. Masculine, feminine energy right now that is still in separation. This is, as I said, there's a lot of energy potentially that's doing a lot of blocking today. Because this potentially could be even a moment right now where feminine energy is moving with such determination on their own path away from a masculine energy that effectively they offered the point of possibility of partnership. Masculine declined and moved and chose to choose their own autonomy. Feminine energy is recalling their own energy to the point that not only do they not want to communicate with the masculine, they don't want to be seen and they don't want to see the masculine. This is what's creating the point of catharsis for the feminine. Feminine's almost, I have to stress right now, for a lot of this feminine energy, it's not just the fact. This is why we see that this is like a closed door. It's not just the fact that the feminine energy right now is saying, you know, not only am I not chasing after you, you effectively don't, like, I don't see you anymore. I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want to hear from you anymore. There's a lot of this energy we see here. This is immediately creating that point of catharsis for the feminine energy in this vibration. Masculine, you could be seeing this right now. You could be feeling this right now. If you chose your own autonomy over the possibility of what could have been a divine union partnership, you may be feeling right now a moment where you are feeling unseen. You may even recognize right now that someone is trying not to see you. This is also creating a moment where you're trying to stay secure in what you have right now and trying to find a point of easement in terms of the choice that you made. Because you're recognizing, again, that this was a choice. This is the result of you effectively making that choice to hold on to your autonomy as opposed to coming into union and partnership. You're trying to find a point of healing here, but it is creating a point of crisis to a certain extent because you're not sure which direction to go into as you proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Wands in combination with our King of Cups. Masculine energy right now in separation. I want you to be very kind to yourself today. It's a lot of emotionality that's coming through right now. Because there is this moment that, like, you're looking right now, the problem right now that's happening right now is you're recognizing, you're trying to look forward in this moment, but you're feeling a lot of that anxiety and crisis because you're not necessarily sure what that looks like at this time. You're not really sure what you're looking for at this moment. It's creating a moment for the masculine energy that's still in separation that feels very emotionally overwhelming. That's either leading you to feel like you have this influx of emotions today, or you feel very disconnected from your emotions, depending on how you carry this. It's requiring a lot of this internal journeying right now in your own emotions to decide what you want as you go forward from this point prior to doing so. Feminine right now, this is a moment that you are effectively, if you are still in separation, you are just looking forward. You are moving on immediately. There may even be something about the fact that you're feeling the empowerment of your own ability to recover from something faster than you may have before, because you are just committing and affirming to yourself right now that you're not necessarily in a space or place where you want to be with an emotionally imbalanced masculine energy that has not learned how to do the work of balancing their own feminine energy. This is feminine just utilizing this as like a point of being like, next, moving on. Feminine energy knows what they're looking for right now, and they're continuing to seek. Feminine energy is not chasing. They're looking. They're seeking what they're seeking. They're not chasing after things. Feminine is effectively, this is the work of the feminine effectively embodying their own masculine energy. We like to see this in separation right now. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into partnership or union. There may be a feeling right now that the feminine is identifying and recognizing right now with the masculine, seeing and understanding to a certain extent that this is a moment that the masculine energy is doing some of this work, but it's emotionally overwhelming. It is hard for the masculine energy that's doing this right now to do this work because they haven't done it before. They haven't done it before. Feminine energy that's working right now, as long as the masculine energy is open, is showing this commitment, is showing this desire, is effectively like closing out cycles around them right now, showing that true commitment to trying to build a unified partnership. This is feminine energy effectively allowing that window, allowing that point, being very cautious with the energy as they do so, but effectively communicating the masculine energy that this is allowing that path forward. Masculine is seeing that right now, and it's hard work, but you're continuing to do it. It's a little bit emotionally difficult as you do. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership. This is a moment today where the feminine might just need to leave some room and allow the masculine energy to see some opportunities to like come into emotional balance. There may be some feelings. Masculine is feeling a lot of emotionality right now and is trying to navigate it. Feminine energy is effectively potentially giving masculine energy that space in partnership right now. This could even be the feminine energy like talking about some plans for the future that are very emotionally triggering to the masculine right now. So a little caution right now as it relates to partnered conversations, because we do see the fact the masculine energy may have a bit of a trigger point. And again, for masculines right now, if you have issues right now, specifically as it relates to coping mechanisms, I want you to be very careful today, please. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, there's potentially a lot of work that is effectively happening right now as it relates to looking at situations and circumstances in terms of what you want to put your time and energy in going forward from this time. We are identifying right now for the masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this moment that there is a lot of observation right now as it relates to how to go forward right now. For masculine right now, there's a moment that we are seeing that's creating this opportunity of emotionality at this moment, because again, there is this feeling right now in terms of where you want to put your time and energy. You are also potentially feeling some points of frustration right now as it relates to feeling like you are spread too thin or waiting on some things right now that are not coming to fruition the way that you would ideally desire right now. This is creating some emotionality in the masculine energy. Needs a little bit of room. Again, masculine energies that are prone to effectively having this right now, this is also potentially leading to a point of feeling some level or degree of impatience. The energy that we're seeing right now for the masculine that's coming through right now has to do with a feeling of impatience and trying to decide where to put your energy going forward in the most effective way. This is why we see with a lot of the masculine energy right now, it's feeling a little potentially overwhelming. So I want the masculine energy that's feeling like this right now, even in partnership at this moment, to effectively pace yourself. For masculine and for feminine that you're effectively seeing this right now, you're potentially seeing right now that the masculine energy is in this vibration right now, feminine. You're potentially recognizing and identifying right now that the masculine energy needs a little room to sort out too many things that they've put on their plate, feeling a little bit like they've kind of been overtasked. This is potentially why you were trying to have this conversation with the masculine in the first place. You may also just kind of recognize right now you need to give the masculine a little space as they navigate this in partnership as you go forward from this point. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership right now, what we are effectively seeing right now is a moment or an opportunity that is coming through. For masculine and feminine that are moving right now into union or into partnership at this moment, this is the moment that the feminine is trying to see and ascertain if the masculine is able to give forward in the way that they would truly desire at this time. There may even be a lot of conversations that are happening right now about what the feminine is seeking from the masculine and what the masculine can actually bring forward to feminine right now. That may feel like some point of confusion at this time. Feminine is trying to potentially articulate, and again, this is a feminine that's feeling the anxiety of masculine, potentially having at times vacillated or been too slow. Feminine is trying to see the masculine hurry forward because feminine is very impatient right now in terms of what masculine is bringing towards them right now. Masculine, you may be feeling this right now if you're moving into partnership with feminine. It may be feeling like, again, you're being pushed into something right now that you're not necessarily as ready to move into with the same degree of ability as the feminine is. It's making a moment right now that even now, you're potentially feeling some of that hesitancy in the partnership because like you're questioning your own ability and what you have to kind of give forth to this right now. And that feels a little bit emotionally overwhelming. For masculine and feminine energy that is still in separation at this time, this is exactly why we see that the separation is not leading to feminine chasing after masculine. Feminine energy is absolutely committed right now to the fact that they don't want to have to chase after masculine for an offer. They don't want to wait for masculine energy to come forward with offers. They don't want masculine energy that is effectively in emotional imbalance at this time. Feminine energy is seeking right now something that is showing them what they want or what they desire at this moment. This is the confirmation of the feminine energy to continue forward on this path for themselves. That's why feminine energy is effectively, even if this is a feminine that saw a masculine energy walk away from them at this time, there's a huge possibility that that feminine energy is effectively just closing the doors on that energy at that moment, not wanting to see them, not wanting to communicate with them, because feminine energy is just continuing to go forward at this time, completely on their own, creating these things for themselves at this moment. Now, masculine, you're effectively seeing this right now on the part of the feminine. You're potentially recognizing right now that there's almost like very little direction you can go into right now, but forward. You may even be kind of going back to situations and circumstances right now, trying to communicate, finding a lot of closed doors. You're recognizing now that something like this is happening to a certain degree, and it's creating a point of frustration for you potentially, because it's requiring a moment right now of deeper recognition of your own path, of having to articulate on what it is that you are truly seeking. And it is a point right now that is feeling that level of anxiety or that feeling of overwhelm, because again, it's potentially also recognizing to you right now this feeling of urgency in terms of potentially having waited too long to understand and identify what it is that is your true heart's desire at this time. This is creating a lot of this internal work right now for the masculine that is going through this at this time. And it's becoming a lot more of an internal spiritual journey to a certain extent, because it's masculine, like effectively asking like what it is that you're seeking, what it is that you're trying to give forward to at this point. So again, beautiful energy for the even through a point of crisis right now, because it is coming through as catharsis. And it's almost like leading to a point of, again, higher spiritual understanding of the self. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Cups and its reversal in combination with our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. So, a moment or opportunity that we are identifying right now that is effectively coming through. In partnership right now, we are seeing that this is masculine energy that is effectively working right now in terms of laying new foundations, even in partnership at the moment. There's a moment right now in partnership that you feel like new ground is being laid. It's creating a moment for the masculine that you may be feeling some points of emotional overwhelm at this time as you do so. Maybe even having conversations about these new opportunities that are either very close or connected to your heart right now, or they're just like a little bit too overwhelming. But we do see the fact that this work is very positive and productive as it relates to divine union energy. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is a moment that is going to feel very different, because what we are effectively seeing right now is masculine energy that is effectively in this space and place right now. If you moved away from a partnership opportunity right now that seemed effectively perfect, and now you're moving forward right now, we are seeing that there's this point of pause that's happening in terms of trying to identify and articulate what it is you're truly seeking for yourself at this moment. It's creating a moment of emotional overwhelm internally for the masculine right now. But it's also creating a point where you are recognizing that you are building a new foundation for yourself. That foundation may potentially feel very internal right now. This could be a lot of that work that you're doing internally, to look at things from a different perspective, to look at yourself from a different perspective, to seeing some of your own situations and circumstances in terms of your own emotionality at this time. It's almost requiring a recalibration point. For feminine right now that is effectively moving right now, seeing a masculine energy that moved away from them in this fashion, this is further confirmation of feminine just building forward for themselves in this moment, not wanting to be in spaces or places of masculine energy that isn't showing that ability to maintain a point of emotional balance at this time. For the energies that are coming into partnership at this moment, this is again allowing this to be a space or place of new beginnings, while also feminine having to recognize that the masculine is kind of learning as they go. This is hard work for the masculine to maintain this point of emotional balance. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with openness. This is a continual point of openness right now. What's happening right now that's so difficult for the energy that's coming into partnership at this moment? It's the fact that feminine energy is continuing to say to the masculine energy that's coming towards them in this way. The way the feminine energy is feeling like they can be vulnerable to this masculine energy is they're effectively seeking more and more information, more and more truth. You have to be more and more open. And the masculine energy is effectively potentially feeling some point of emotional overwhelm in this, because it feels puts masculine energy in a very vulnerable place to have to speak this honestly and authentically to the feminine energy. Feminine energy, you're effectively seeing this right now with the masculine. You're kind of seeing the masculine energy learning how to do this, to be open in this expression, to balance their feminine energy in terms of how they're feeling and the things that you need to know. And this is allowing for that point of building for a new stable foundation as you go forward. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, what we are effectively seeing is the fact that, again, feminine energy is moving forward right now, building this new foundation for themselves. Effectively, even again, if this was masculine energy where they had an offer, they asked the masculine energy to come forward into partnership and union, the masculine energy fled or declined. This is feminine energy effectively confirming to themselves that that's all the truth that they needed from this masculine energy. And they're proceeding to go forward right now and laying this foundation for themselves at this moment, potentially again even closing off communication with some energy right now, or not necessarily wanting to have that pinpoint of like optics towards it, because feminine energy is staying very committed that they only want spaces and places where they see that level and degree of clarity, honesty, integrity. Feminine energy doesn't want any mystery as it relates to the partnership with masculine. They want everything above the board, on the table. They want to be able to understand things clearly. That's where also feminine energy is continuing to go forward on this path for themselves as they proceed forward for this point. Masculine, if you are not in partnership at this moment, if you chose separation, again, because we're seeing a lot of this masculine energy that effectively chose to stay in separation at an opportunity where partnership was offered by feminine. This is masculine energy that is going through a lot of an internal journey right now. There is a lot of an internal journey that's happening right now for this masculine energy, because there's a point of observation that you moved away from something that may have looked like it was perfect. And you're now recognizing you're not necessarily sure which direction you're moving into at this time. And you're trying to ask yourself a lot of this internal journey right now to get clarity. But the clarity that we see that the masculine is going through right now that is in separation is within the self. You're potentially sorting through a lot of your own emotionality at this time so that you can have a new foundation and beginning. So this is very healing and cathartic, even for the energy that is in separation at this time, the masculine energy, because it is also creating a level of clarity for yourself at this time. It's almost like a forced point into maturation, regardless of whether you are in or out of a partnership. Feminine and masculine energy right now, and it's making you effectively have to look at hard truths, which is why I'm also saying for the masculine energy, I'm going to say this again today. I'm going to say this again. If you are a masculine energy that has issues with coping mechanisms, I want you to be very cautious with those coping mechanisms today. Okay? Because this is effectively something that is feeling somewhat overwhelming as you have this new start. So give yourself that time and space. Make sure that you're grounding. Make sure you're putting a lot of attention in self-care. Drink your water. Masculine, drink your water today, please. Okay? Continuing for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership. This is a moment that is potentially feeling very overwhelming, because there's something here about the clarity. There's something here about the honesty. There's something here about the openness of what you're building right now that is creating and allowing for foundations to occur, even in terms of what you're creating here. Masculine, there's potentially even a moment right now of emotional overwhelm, but we're almost seeing that the reason the masculine energy is an overwhelm is because you feel the safety and the space to do so in the partnership. You know, there's even a lot of the masculine energy potentially coming into deeper understanding of the self right now in partnership as you move forward, because we see here that there's a lot of new energy in terms of new projects and commitments coming forward right now in partnership that are building this level of degree of clarity for the masculine at this time. So we love to see this right now in the partnership, even though, again, masculines, I want you to take care of yourself today, because something about this does show like there's a bit of an overwhelm occurring. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 3 of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our 9 of Cups in its reversal. So for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, there is something here. It's almost requiring you, like we said, to pull out of some things right now, to potentially even pull out of some like situations or circumstances, to kind of like go inwards right now, because you're laying these new foundations. You're creating something new. It's requiring you to do this. It's requiring this readjustment. It's okay though, because again, for the partnered energies, there's something here where it's like the need to be able to kind of like put oneself on display is, to a certain extent, is not necessarily there as much right now. It's not really the priority. The priority right now is building something new, is what we're seeing. So for the energy that's doing this right now, we see that you're doing this work in partnership. Now, out of partnership right now, if these are new partnerships that are starting, this is energy that is pulling out of obligations, other obligations, potentially other potential partnerships, so that you can lay new foundation as you go forward from this point. Now, for masculine and feminine energy in separation, this is, again, if this is a feminine energy that saw the masculine energy moving away from them, this is feminine energy potentially closing that door on that masculine, potentially not even wanting the masculine energy to see them at this time as they start to lay this new foundation for themselves going forward. Masculine, you could be effectively seeing that this is happening right now. And it's also creating a space or place where you are trying to lay new foundations in the wake of feeling like you are being unseen from this energy. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, thank you for the gift, our Page of Swords. So we like this because, again, for the feminine energy right now that's in separation, this is that moment where, again, feminine energy is learning how to recover a lot faster than they have before. Feminine energy is just like, I'm good. like feminine energy is not letting this. There's something here about feminine being like, the cycle is done. The cycle is stopped. I'm not sticking around for it. I'm just going to get up. I'm going to wipe myself off. I'm moving forward. And a feminine almost like, we're seeing here that this feminine energy is almost like, I know what to do right now. Boom, 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 boom. This is it. Moving forward, on to the next. Feminine energy's got a lot of confidence right now, which we like to see. This is a feminine energy that, again, they're going through that emotional recovery, but they're healing from it a lot faster right now, because feminine energy is staying very committed to the fact that they know very much what they want and they're going after to seek it. Feminine energy is not chasing after things that are showing no evidence of being able to desire what they're seeking at this time. This is what is effectively allowing the feminine energy to have so much confidence going forward in this degree right now. Masculine right now, if you are at this moment, we see that this is effectively how you're trying to come into a state or space of recovery at this time. For the masculine energy that moved away from a partnership opportunity, this is a moment that, again, you are trying to get back your confidence right now. You're trying to buck yourself up. You're potentially right now at a moment where you are taking this pause. I'm also seeing here that there's almost something, thank you so much for the gift. There's almost something that's coming through right now with the masculine energy. I have to stress this. If some of the masculine energy recognizes or sees the fact that they've been effectively like blocked to some capacity or degree, like from the feminine at this time, it's almost like creating this like sensation or play of like aggressiveness in them, or like anxiety, like it's almost like giving them like new spark of energy at this moment, right? So this is a masculine energy we're really seeing right now. Masculine, you're looking to get that like sense of like, you know, this is a masculine energy trying to like gas themselves back up to a certain degree so that they can move forward from a point of confidence at this moment. Masculine right now, it's almost like there's a point right now where it's like the masculine energy that is not in partnership at this time is effectively potentially looking at some situations and circumstances and like trying to not necessarily know what direction to go into right now, but just trying to get that like sense of adventure back into them as they proceed forward from this point. And I do see that some of that is effectively potentially coming through today. For masculine and feminine energy that is moving right now into partnership, this is a moment that we're effectively observing to a certain level and degree that you are feeling this confidence. You are seeing the fact that the energy around you right now is closing out cycles or closing down things. They're moving away from certain things so that you can build new foundations. And this is what's creating the confidence for both energy to move forward to partnership, to union, to commitment at this time. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, this is that moment that, again, you are feeling the confidence right now. You're not feeling that feeling of frustration in terms of any spaces or places that you are feeling unseen. You may even be pulling out of things right now because you've got a lot of excitement in terms of what direction you're moving into right now. This is giving you that sense of encouragement. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Moon card. For masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, we are effectively seeing that this is that moment that like a lot of like clarity and purpose is coming into some situations and circumstances right now. Masculine, you may be feeling some points of frustration right now in terms of having to wait for some things. Masculine energy right now is potentially going through a moment right now where you're feeling some frustration in terms of where you want to put your effort and energy at this time. This is requiring you to kind of face some hard truths at this moment in the relationship and in the partnerships. There's a lot of, I said, a lot of reshifting right now of priorities that's potentially happening right now in these partnerships that is requiring some points of recalibration. For feminine, you're potentially seeing this right now, and these are some of the discussions that you're having with masculine at this moment. Now, for masculine and feminine energy, that is in separation, or the masculine and feminine energy that's moving into partnership at this moment, what we're effectively observing right now is, again, masculine energy is recognizing that they need to pull away from certain things and be open about them. This is why we see that this is very hard for the masculine, because it's leaving for a lot of vulnerability, and it's also potentially requiring the masculine energy to close out certain cycles that are around them at this time as they more fully invest in moving into union. It's requiring a lot of honesty, it's requiring a lot of truth, and it's requiring masculine effectively pulling away from some things. It is creating almost like a sense of emotional overwhelm for the masculine that's doing this work at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that are still in separation, this is a lot different, because for feminine right now, this is further confirmation, thank you for the gift, that feminine is not effectively in a space or place of wanting to wait for masculine to come forward with an offer. Feminine energy is not waiting for the offer right now. It's not about the fact that they feel like there might be something about this energy changing their mind. Feminine energy is at a point where they're just not in the space or place where they want to wait for the masculine energy to change their mind. They're just taking the truth of the circumstances as they find them and utilizing them to move forward from this point. Masculine, you're effectively potentially seeing this right now. There's something here that is showing you a level or degree of urgency, because if you're coming forward right now with a very slow offer or some kind of assurance of coming back or something that feels like you're holding it away, it's no longer something that is effectively working, or it's not necessarily something that is being accepted from feminine. It's requiring you to have a lot of hard truths for yourself right now in this moment, to ask where you want to put your time, effort, or energy, or if you actually want to at all at this time. This is a lot of that internal truth that's effectively happening right now for the masculine that's going through this moment right now. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Wands. We like to see this. This is productivity. This is productive. We love to see this energy right now, because what we're effectively identifying right now is, again, in partnership, this is beautiful. what we're really identifying right now is, again, masculine energy moving through a state or space right now that, again, a lot of understanding, a lot of clarity that is coming into play, recognizing right now spaces or places that you may need to kind of readjust your own obligations, your own priority, but you're utilizing this in a productive way in terms of moving now in a point of communication, of clarity, of planning going forward. We like this. This is masculine and feminine right now, looking at the circumstances that you find yourself in right now so you can plan forward most effectively from this point going forward. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is going to feel somewhat different. For the feminine energy that is in separation, that's potentially even in a moment right now of recognizing that there's some masculine energy that you may have kind of wanted some kind of offer or opportunity from, and you're seeing the fact that they did not necessarily get it or did not offer it to you. This is that moment of clarity that's coming into point as you are effectively focusing right now. This is almost feminine energy immediately recalibrating. Feminine energy is potentially even looking right now towards masculine energy that shows this level or degree of communication and planning. This is either feminine energy right now getting outside support from masculine in terms of how to proceed forward, or this is feminine energy effectively moving right now towards masculine energy that they feel has this ability or degree to stay communicative, consistent. This is what the feminine energy is trying to manifest at this time. Feminine energy is moving almost immediate direction towards things like this right now, towards energy that's in this vibration. This is not necessarily a feminine energy that's, again, waiting around on something. Specifically, it is a feminine energy that is looking for consistent communication, or they're ready to kind of close those doors, close those chapters. For some of the feminine energy right now, this is potentially even getting some clarity from masculine at this moment. Now, for the energy right now that is in partnership or moving into partnership at this time, this is feminine energy getting clarification from the masculine energy as to why they were not as forthright in what they were offering. This is exactly the clarification that feminine needed. Feminine needed to understand why there was this hesitancy that was coming through. Masculine is almost immediately providing this if you are moving into partnership at this time. It's a little overwhelming, but much like a muscle, the more you do this, the easier it's effectively getting masculine, and you see yourself kind of learning how to use that muscle. While for feminine energy that is not in partnership, that they saw the masculine energy move away from separation, this is feminine energy getting back on the horse like that. Getting back on the horse like that. This is also potentially why the feminine energy is potentially closing out those cycles with the masculine that didn't necessarily take that offer. Because feminine energy is just, again, no time to waste is what we're seeing. For masculine energy right now that is effectively in this modality, that is moving out of separation, that you made the effective choice that potentially there was an opportunity or offer to come into union, you moved away from it, you chose autonomy. This is effectively you taking the time right now to really understand and assess your own self, to try to identify and articulate what it is that you're truly seeking. This is that moment right now that you may be coming back into a bit of a planning stage, allowing oneself to understand your deeper truths so that you can build a plan going forward. Moving into a state of empowerment and self-directed confidence at this time as you start to decide and see the deeper truth on things. This may be feeling a lot for some of the masculine in this moment, like a bit of an epiphany coming through right now, if you're still in separation. This is that light bulb effectively coming on again as you kind of potentially understand and get to the heart of something in terms of why you either moved away from something or you wouldn't offer something to someone. It's requiring you that deeper understanding. This is almost masculine energy suddenly realizing what it is that you're truly after. This is what's allowing that process to occur. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Moon card in its reversal in combination with our Page of Swords. With clarity comes motivation. 333 in the room. With clarity comes motivation. For the masculine energy that is in separation right now, that chose the moment of choosing autonomy as opposed to moving into partnership. This work that you're doing on self-contemplation today is bringing with it a huge dose of clarity. It's almost like I'm seeing here a lot of this like realization moment coming in. That deeper truth that you're picking up on is a deeper truth in the self, potentially as to what it is that you're truly seeking and what it is that you truly want at this moment. And it is empowering you. It is motivating you to take action in that direction today. For feminine energy that is effectively in this modality, we see that the feminine energy is at a moment that they're feeling the need or degree of confirmation. Feminine energy is, and I need to stress this, as masculine energy is having this light bulb energy, feminine energy is closing a door. Feminine energy is closing a door. Feminine energy is going, I've seen all I need to see. I've gotten all the clarity that I need on something. Feminine energy is moving forward on their own journeys right now. Do you see how these energies play with each other? So now masculine is having the light bulb moment. Feminine, and they're moving forward. Feminine's having the I'm finished energy and is closing the door to a certain extent. Feminine energy is taking that same sword up right now and moving on their own. And this is effectively leading us to this where we find ourselves today for these energies that are in separation. For masculine and feminine energy that's already in partnership, that's moving into partnership, this is continuing to be open to one another. And the more that you open up, the more you feel confident. The more that you open up, the more you feel confident. This is like that battery starting up, right? This is like the battery taking root, you know? It's like more and more, the more you say, the more you open up, the more the empowerment comes. It's a positive energy. Masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership, like this is the energy coming into divine union. Masculine and feminine energy that are in divine partnership, they're just already here. They're just doing this. This is just like, this is what's happening. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. What do we do from here? So, for masculine and feminine energy, Jesus Christ. For masculine and feminine energy that's in partnership at its time, this is like that clarity that's coming through right now and that sense of empowerment that's actually like feeling like there's like all of these opportunities, all of these directions to go into. The question isn't necessarily like, this is almost like creating like an abundance of energy coming from like this point right now. This is that openness and that moment right now. There may be a lot of conversations in terms of like, where do you want to go from here? What's the plan? What are we going to do? What direction are we going to go into? It's almost like feeling like a lot of excitement energy that's potentially moving into some of the partnered energies right now as you kind of look at what you want to like do going forward from this time. For masculine and feminine energy that's moving into partnership at this moment, this is feeling the excitement of that because you're recognizing now that there's an openness, there's an honesty that you may not necessarily have experienced prior to this point. You're both in that same vibration, and it's like the window of opportunity now in terms of what you want to do, maybe even feeling like somewhat overwhelming at this time. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, you're both basically feeling this in separation. This is why feminine energy is immediately coming in a point of catharsis, because feminine energy, what is feminine energy doing? Feminine energy is not running after the masculine right now, trying to get the masculine energy to give them something that they made it clear that they don't want. Feminine energy is taking the truth of the situation, taking their own sense of empowerment, going out and seeking it for themselves. Feminine energy is looking at all the possibilities around them, and feminine energy is feeling this point of saying, feminine energy recognizes that what they're seeking is out there. They just need to find it. It's more about how to go about it. The feminine energy is feeling the confidence, but there is some feeling of frustration or potential overwhelm right now. And the fact that feminine's like, here we go again. I got to go looking for it, right? Masculine right now, this is more of that like epiphany moment that's potentially happening if you are in separation right now, because whatever we're seeing here right now is coming into a space of personal understanding. This is like an internal light bulb that's effectively going on right now for the masculine energy that's effectively chose autonomy over partnership right now. This point of self-contemplation is giving you that moment of clarity. And that point of clarity is immediately empowering you at this time. The question that feels overwhelming is, how do you tackle it? What do you do next? What do you do with that insight or that clarity that you've reached right now as it relates to going towards the thing that you're truly seeking? Because something about this here is almost immediately feeling overwhelming right now for masculine, because it's not necessarily a lack of understanding in terms of what you're seeking at this moment. It's more feeling the potential point of overwhelm. This is still the masculine energy, like understanding that sense of self right now, but trying to ask themselves, where do I find that? Right? So this is more of that confusion energy right now that masculine is potentially feeling right now, that's going through this moment of a personal autonomy choice that's occurred, that feels somewhat confusing, because masculine energy is trying to employ this deeper understanding of the self to really figure out what it is that they're trying to go after right now. Maybe feeling like a little bit of like a crisis energy right now, masculine, as you do a lot of this internal work. So be patient with yourself today. Final card for today's spread, between our King of Wands in combination with our Seven of Cups. So masculine and feminine energy, it's going to feel a bit different, and especially right now if you are in partnership or not in partnership. Energy that is in divine union right now, we are effectively seeing masculine, even while you're going through a point of emotional overwhelm right now, we're almost seeing that's leading you to a space of planning. You're taking that energy, you're immediately putting it into your own planning, looking at that point of everything that you have to do and just trying to figure out what you need to tackle, potentially even helping the feminine energy do this for themselves as well at this time. Mutual work in these endeavors to really land upon like what it is, like your true, like your highest priority is at this moment. May feel a little overwhelming. Masculine's employing a lot of that like planning and strategy right now to work in this capacity in partnership at this moment. Feminine, you could be relying or leaning on the masculine right now to provide this for you as you proceed forward from this point. Masculine and feminine coming into partnership at this moment. This is masculine energy. Like, I actually think this is really funny. Masculine energy that's coming into partnership at this moment. This could potentially be you effectively getting into a space or place with the feminine energy that you're like now like almost like regaling them. You're getting so excited from the terms of the fact that you can be open in this capacity and degree that you're just kind of sharing more and more and more with the feminine. Like it's just kind of like this is that opening up that we're seeing that's potentially happening right now. Because it's almost like this give me like a little like once a door is open, it's like everybody comes running in. So it's like for the masculine right now, that point of emotional overwhelm starts to just be like this point of feeling the empowerment and recognizing that you can open up to feminine right now about like fully everything that you're experiencing, everything that you're seeing. Feminine may be feeling a little overwhelmed and thrown by how much masculine is articulating at this time if you're coming into partnership in this way, shape, or form right now. For masculine and feminine energy that's in separation, this is going to feel very, very different. Because what we're effectively seeing right now, feminine energy is looking for this. Feminine energy is looking for a masculine energy that shows that ability to communicate and be open and honest in this capacity. Feminine energy is feeling some exhaustion right now because she's like going back to look like find it. This is the feminine energy that's just like, I have to go back now and look for this right now. But feminine energy knows exactly what they're looking for. Masculine, and this is moving the feminine more into a vibration right now, potentially even looking for like a lot of passionate connections at this time as they kind of go through this. Masculine right now that's in separation, this is a moment that you are trying to get a better understanding of self, but you are also seeing and feeling somewhat overwhelmed at this time. Because we are seeing that there is something here that is now, again, you've developed a clearer, throughout this work and this personal understanding. It's almost like creating an immediate, better maturation process in terms of what it is that you're truly looking for at this time, what it is that you're truly seeking. This is almost coming through as like a bit more higher mindedness right now that you're putting as it relates to your relationships and how you're proceeding going forward. Now is more of a matter right now for masculine, trying to identify and understand how to find what you're looking for, where it is. And that's where, again, we see more of this masculine right now, looking both backwards and forwards to try to identify and articulate what that heart's desire is, the same energy we saw yesterday, but from a place of personal understanding of the self. May I please have one card to clarify? Chariot in its reversal. So, for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in partnership. This is that point of recalibration. As we said, there's a point and a need right now to really focus on what the priorities and goals are at this time to navigate and to make things easier going forward. We keep seeing the same thing here. There may be a feeling right now that there are too many obligations or too many different disparate things that the masculine is recognizing, potentially even towards the feminine right now, as it relates to their own obligations and priorities at this time. There's a need for alignment here that's even being identified in partnership at this time. Masculine energy may be articulating upon this right now to come into better alignment. Feminine, you may also be feeling and experiencing this. You may be getting guidance from masculine right now to see how you guys can come into better alignment going forward. Masculine and feminine energy that's moving into partnership at this time, this is effectively masculine. Jesus. This is masculine opening up to feminine in the degree that feminine has asked them to. The problem, and I want feminine, I swear, feminine, don't you dare do this. If you're doing this, I'm going to find you. This is feminine energy feeling potentially somewhat overwhelmed by the masculine energy opening up in this capacity, in this degree, and seeing things fully as they ask the masculine to. There's questioning right now of the feminine that's trying to move into partnership with masculine if they're opening up to this degree that is now making you question going forward. Don't you dare do this, feminines. If you're doing this right now, I'm going to find you. Don't you dare, okay? This is a moment right now. Feminine, if you asked for this, accept what you asked for, okay? That's what we're really seeing here. Feminine that's going through this right now, you are effectively having to potentially feel like that own internal feeling right now in terms of what masculine is giving you versus how you go forward from it. Remember, if you asked for this, that is what you asked for. Don't do that, okay? I'm putting feminine on the hook here too. Masculine, you are effectively providing this potentially to feminine right now. You may also be getting it in kind. There's also a point right now that's potentially requiring this point of recalibration because for the energy that's coming into partnership right now, this is giving a lot of where the heck do we go from here? How do we unify our goals? How do we get this back on track? You know, it's almost like looking at something and seeing exactly how broken something is or how broken something got in the interim of something to see and analyze how it can go forward more productively from here. Being like, oh, now I understand what was happening. Oh, now you're telling me everything that was going on. Oh, now I've got full clarity. Okay, how do we fix this? Right? So that's what we're really seeing for the energies that are coming to partnership right now. The clarity is coming. It's a little overwhelming. Okay. For masculine and feminine energy that are in separation right now, this is the feminine again. This is feminine feeling that like point of frustration right now. Because feminine energy is effectively seeking, and they know what they're looking to manifest right now. They're looking for this King of Wands energy. Someone who is articulate, forthright, passionate. It's hard because like it's just a lot of sorting through now, looking for energy, trying to figure out the right person. Feminine's feeling that like frustration and exhaustion in terms of like where to effectively start, even as they're feeling the conviction to go forward in that way. Masculine, if you are in separation, if you were given an offer from feminine and you chose to move away from it, this is effectively you also feeling this point of confusion because you are effectively, this is actually, I need to point out for some of the masculine energy right now, if you moved away from an offer or possibility, this is you having a better understanding of yourself and what it is that you truly seek as it relates to relationship right now. Some of the masculine energy is still potentially choosing right now to stay in a state or space of autonomy at this moment. That is that point of understanding. The other part right now is now a deeper, if the energy is moving into this vibration, it's more trying to understand what it looks like to be in alignment with energy, to actually move in harmony with energy. This is masculine energy that's effectively potentially starting to understand what divine union means that they didn't recognize before. And this point of understanding is something that they need to kind of effectively learn right now that is feeling like a bit of a growth process because they're not necessarily sure how to start because they're doing it on their own. So, bottom of the deck for today's read is, we like this, Ace of Swords. There's something that's very important that's coming to the surface right now about wanting to have some victory, of really trying to like ascertain what victory looks like. And I think for a lot of the energy right now, this could be a point of contemplation that is happening within the self to really say, what does a win look like to you? What is victory? Where do you put that feeling or that point of success? For masculine and feminine energy right now, in partnership, this could potentially be a lot of conversations right now in terms of unifying your overall goals, to really identify what a success looks like so that you identify that and recognize that going forward. For partnerships right now that are kind of coming into union right now, there's a lot of anxiety as to whether something is going to work. So this is something that like, there's some feelings of anxiety as to whether there's something here that can actually like move off in the way that it wants to. This is something that's hanging in the balance. For masculine and feminine energy and separation right now, this is just the frustration. This is the frustration of feeling that anxiety in terms of like hoping to find what you're looking for. Feminine energy right now is feeling that point of, again, it feels like a win. Like they recognize that this is something that they feel success in doing at this time in this way. But it feels like a bit of a hollow victory because for feminine, this moving in this way right now, it's not what they ideally aspired for. They wanted a different victory. But they're recognizing that the victory of the self right now is in a way a victory because they're choosing themselves over being in situations or circumstances where they weren't ultimately feeling like there was divine union possible. For masculine right now, that is in separation, this is that deeper journey in asking what it is that you're truly seeking right now. What it is that will effectively make you happy. What is that victory that you're looking for right now, that you're trying to move towards? This is a more of that internal journey the masculine is having to face right now to really ask yourself what it is that you truly desire. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading, you can do that on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Also, please keep in mind that booking a reading with me is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never inbox you. I will never DM you. I will never slide into your PMs and tell you that I have an important message that only I can deliver. The only way that you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in this reading. And we will do this again tomorrow. It's good.